See now, in the last 3 days, we were trying to understand about something called as OSI reference model. We understood that as different vendors started producing different networking components, interoperability has become a very big question. So towards standardization, International Standards Organization has requested IEEE to come up with some sort of a reference model so that if different vendors follow the reference model, their products could talk to the other vendors' products. So interoperability is possible only when there is some sort of standardization. Towards an effort of standardization, the OSI reference model has been formulated. It's only a reference model. It is not the protocol suite, it is a reference model. So if at all any vendor follows the model and then produce their networking components, their products could talk to other vendors' products. And OSI reference model talks about 7 different layers. We call the layers as physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and an application layer. So we thought instead of talking about these as layers, we thought we'll refer to them as 7 different conditions that have to be fulfilled before two systems could talk to each other. We are trying to explore each and every condition that is required. In other words, we are trying to see the practical view of OSI reference model. So we are trying to see we are trying to explore as to what are all the 7 different conditions that should be fulfilled before two systems could talk to each other. Means system A sends some data. For the data to reach system B properly, what are the 7 different conditions that should be fulfilled? And we started discussing about the first condition. We said the first condition is when the data is getting transmitted from one place to other place, the data gets transferred in the form of what? Signals, either electrical signals or light signals. So the first condition is we should ensure that the signal goes to system B, the destination system, with proper strength and proper clarity. So what do we do to ensure this? We said happens at the physical layer. So the physical layer says before two systems could talk to each, they should physically be connected. Means there should be we have to ensure that the data goes from A to B with proper strength and proper clarity. The signal should reach system B with proper strength and proper clarity. So we should ensure this happens. Then a vehicle or vehicles are required to move the data. So there should be some vehicle present. What's the point of simply building the road? Some vehicle has to be there to move the data from one place to other place, right? So a vehicle or vehicles are required. That's what is said by the second layer. Second condition is a vehicle is required. First condition is make sure that the signal goes from A to B with proper strength and proper clarity. Third condition is somebody has to answer which route the vehicle has to take, which route the vehicle has to take. Somebody has to show routing, show the direction, show the route. This has to be answered. There should be a mechanism by which the systems are identified and located uniquely by some sort of an address. And there should be some logical mechanism where somebody can show the route till the data goes one place. So imagine internet is a very big network. When I say ping www.yahoo.com, where is this particular server called yahoo.com located? To go to that location, which route I need to take? Out of 3 different routes available, which is the best route I need to take? All these questions has to be answered. So somebody has to answer the question, which route I need to take. That condition also should be fulfilled. Means routing has to be done. We also understood as to what logic is applied for doing routing. We said that the systems are identified and located by something called as an IP address. When I say my IP address is so-and-so, I mean so-and-so system in so-and-so area. Now the question arises to go to that area, which is a route I need to take. So routing follows only when there is something called as an address, right? So you have seen that as how the telephones are identified located by something called as telephone address. The systems on the TCP/IP network or internet are identified and located by something called as an IP address. So what we have been discussing all these days is what is routing all about, right? So you understood the logic behind routing. Now let's say route is also decided. Now the fourth condition is somebody has to ensure that all the data reaches destination safely. All the data reaches system B safely. Somebody has to ensure or manage the transport. Manage the transport in what sense? Make sure that entire data goes to system B properly, safely. No data is lost while transport. If any data gets lost by some accident, there should be a mechanism where I retransmit the same data again so that entire file is actually reaching system B properly. So somebody also has to manage the transport. That is what is said by the transport layer. Fourth condition. The fourth condition is somebody has to manage the transport. The first condition is we should ensure that the signal goes from A to B with proper strength and proper clarity. Second, somebody has to move the data. Third, which route the data has to take, which route has to be taken also should be answered. Fourth one is somebody has to ensure that entire data goes from A to B without any data getting lost. That comes under what? Managing the transport. So let's understand this condition properly and thereby get introduced to a new protocol called as TCP protocol. All these days we have seen the data link layer, which particular protocols were there? We have, let's say, Ethernet, we have, say, token ring, we had FDDI, we have seen HDLC protocol, we have seen PPP protocol, we have seen frame relay. All these are acting which layer now? Second condition. The second condition was being fulfilled by these particular protocols. All these are vehicles that would move the data from one place to other place. And this particular protocol was taking care of, let's say, routing. We said that IP protocol is taking care of what? Routing. An entire protocol stack called TCP/IP. Only IP protocol, only one protocol is there to answer the question which route I need to take, or to do routing. We have, let's say, IP protocol. So IP protocol divides the network into small areas and also locates systems in that area and then answer the question which route I need to take. We have seen about routing logic. We have seen every system that has an IP has got some routing table. Routes are different for different areas, and by default, route is there for which the system belongs to. We have seen what's the different components of a route: default gateway, default route, routers to IP forwarding. Packet comes, they open the first cover, second cover, see the third cover, see all that happens at which layer now? Well, who's doing all this? IP protocol. So IP protocol does something called as routing. So no other protocol is there, only one protocol is there. Now, somebody has to manage the transport to make sure that all data is consistent safely, right? For that, we have a protocol called as TCP protocol, Transmission Control Protocol. TCP. So TCP manages the transport and also makes sure that when two different systems are talking to each other, entire data is actually being carried safely. No data loss is there. So managing the transport is done by something called as TCP protocol. So let us see how TCP protocol does this. We have never captured a packet of TCP so far. We used to only give the command called ping whenever you do capturing. So ICMP was coming into picture. ICMP was given to IP, IP was given to what? Ethernet. That's what you see in all these days. Today, let us also learn about a very wonderful protocol called as TCP. And what does TCP ensure? It ensures that all the data reaches the destination safely. So let's understand this concept. It's a very, very important discussion now, because in other words, understanding TCP, UDP, IP is what is more important in networking. So let us understand about TCP protocol now. Let us say we have a system here. We have one more system here. Let's say this particular system's IP address is 10.0.0.10 and this system's IP address is 10.0.0.20. So there are two systems here with IP address 10.10 and 10.20. Right? And these systems are physically connected like this. Let us say we have one system 10.10 FTP client application. FTP client. The system is acting as FTP client. It's trying to talk to FTP server. FTP server on system B. Using FTP, what do? We transfer files, right? So will I transfer a file from FTP client to FTP server or from FTP server to the client? I may upload a file or I may download a file, right? So when you want to upload the file, what happens? When you want to upload the file, some data has to go from the client to server, right? So let's say this is a data, this is a file, this is a file. A very important file is being transported from the FTP client to FTP server. So the FTP client application on 10.10 is trying to talk to FTP server application on 10.20, and they would like to transfer what? Data from one place to other place. Either the data has to move from the client to server when I'm uploading the file, or server to the client when I'm downloading the file. Let's say I'm uploading a file from FTP client, FTP server. Right? Now see carefully. Let's say a vehicle like this. We have a vehicle. How much data the vehicle could take? The maximum load capacity of the vehicle is also limited, right? The maximum load capacity of the vehicle is also limited. The vehicle may carry maybe this much data. The vehicle may carry maybe this much data. But can the vehicle carry this much data? It can't carry this much data, right? So the maximum load capacity of any vehicle also is limited. So if at all the vehicle is Ethernet here, if at all the vehicle is Ethernet here, Ethernet is a vehicle, or even PPP is a vehicle, or even token ring is a vehicle, all these are what? Vehicles, right? The maximum load capacity of the vehicle is limited. That is called as what? MTU. MTU stands for what? Maximum transmission unit. The maximum load capacity of any vehicle also is limited. So we call it as what? MTU, maximum transmission unit. You understand, no? So imagine I'm sending a very large file. Very large file is being sent. A large file I would like to send. I would like to upload from the FTP client, FTP server. An entire file, entire data cannot be carried by the underlying vehicle at one go. You understand, no? I want to carry a lot of load. I want to send, let's say, a lot of, let's say, data I want to send from one place to other place. The entire data cannot be carried by vehicle at one go. So what do I do now? What should I do on system A? Somebody has to cut the data into small pieces, right? So the data is cut into what? Small pieces. Let's say I cut the data into 5 different pieces like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Because entire file cannot be carried at one go. The file is being cut into what? Small pieces like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. These particular pieces are called as what? Segments. We call them as what? Segments. So the data is cut into how many segments in this case now? 5 different segments. Right? Because the vehicle cannot carry entire data at one go, the data on system A is cut into what? Small segments like this. Because the file is larger than the MPU of the vehicle. The maximum transmission unit of the vehicle is much lesser than the data. So the data is being cut into what? Small pieces like this. And these pieces are called as what? Segments. So what happens now? First of all, I send only segment number 1. When segment number 1 reaches here, then I send what? I send now segment number 2. Segment number 2 also reaches here. Now I send what? Segment number 3. Segment number 3 also reaches here. Now I send what? Segment number 4. Segment number 4 also comes here. Now I send what? Segment number 5. Segment number 5 also comes up. So once all the segments reach system B, now somebody on system B has to do what? Combine all the segments together, form the data, and give data to what? The application. Right? Somebody has to do something called as assembling the data properly into the file and give the file to what? FTP server. Very large file is getting, let's say, transmitted from 10.10 to 10.20. Entire file cannot be carried by the vehicle at one go. Somebody on system has to cut the data into what? Small pieces. Send all the pieces separately from A to B. Once all the pieces reach system B, somebody on system has to combine all the pieces together, form the data, and then give the data to what? Application FTP server. So somebody on system A here and somebody on system B is trying to do, right? Now, imagine system A is somewhere in India, system B is somewhere in US. When the vehicle is carrying data from one place to other place, anything may happen. Let us say some accident takes place. And this particular segment doesn't reach system B at all. Segment number 3 doesn't reach system B at all. Segment number 3 doesn't come to system B at all. Because the vehicles are carrying the data segment separately. When the segment number 3 is being carried, the vehicle meets with an accident somewhere on the internet and the data is lost. So segment 3 never reaches the system B. Now what happens? When somebody here is trying to combine the data now, something is missing here now. So the entire file is not reaching system B, right? So what should this one? Somebody should say here what? You say, no, please retransmit. What should I do? Retransmit. I did not receive segment number 3. Please send it again. So the somebody here again has to do what? Okay, I'm sending. Now again should send what? Segment number 3. Again, when segment number 3 comes, then only they can assemble the data properly and give data to what? FTP server. You understand, no? That means somebody on system A, somebody on system B should keep talking to each other. I sent this segment. Did you receive this? Yes, I received it. Oh, I'm sending one more segment now. Did you receive this? No, I did not receive it. Please send it again. Okay, I'm sending the segment again. Did you receive now? Yes, I now receive now. Somebody on A and somebody on B should be in constant touch with each other to see whether all the data they're sending from A to B or B to A is being received other side is being received properly or not. Who is somebody on A and somebody on B trying to do this? Who's trying to do managing the transport? TCP protocol. TCP protocol on A and TCP protocol on B. They keep talking to each other. We said that the protocols are like people, right? So there's a person here called as what? TCP. There's a person here called as what? TCP. So this TCP says, I sent this data, did you receive it? Yes, I received it. I'm sending this data, did you receive it? No, I did not receive. Okay, I'll send it again. They should talk to each other like this and make sure that entire data is received by other party properly, in proper order and also in proper shape, so that they can assemble the data properly and give the data to the relevant application. So this is called as managing the transport. TCP is not moving the data. TCP is not moving the data. Who's moving the data? The vehicle. But what is TCP and TCP ensuring here? They are ensuring that the data is being received by the relevant other side properly or not. That is what is ensured by TCP here and TCP over there. You understand? No? That is the concept called as managing the transport. Managing the transport is done by whom? TCP protocol. So because I'm sending a very large file, entire file cannot be carried at one go by the vehicle. The data is being cut into small segments. I send the segments separately from A to B to ensure that all the segments are received by system B properly. TCP on A and TCP on B, they be in constant touch with each other and they ensure that the data is received properly. And if at all any data is getting lost, they ask for retransmission. Once retransmission is sent, then they can try to do this. You understood now? Any doubts so far? You can please ask me.
Very clear, sir. Very clear.
Right? Okay. So from this perspective, we'll see how TCP does this. Let's see how TCP does this, right? So once understand, this is the importance of what's the role of TCP. Ensure the data is received by the party properly. If any data is getting lost, try to ask for retransmission. That's what is TCP doing here. Once understood the context or role of TCP, how TCP does this is what we are going to learn about TCP now. Okay. Now, in this context, you should learn about 4 concepts in TCP. We should first of all understand as to what is meant by sequence numbers. Sequence number. The first concept we should learn about is what? Sequence number. Second, you should also understand something called as window size. Window size. What is meant by window size? Then you should also understand as to what is meant by forward acknowledgement. Forward acknowledgement. What do you mean by forward ACK or forward acknowledgement? You should also understand sequence number synchronization. You should understand something called as sequence number synchronization. You understand? No? So what do you mean by sequence number? What do you mean by window size? What do you mean by forward ACK, forward acknowledgement? What do you mean by sequence number synchronization? Sequence number synchronization is also called as, by different names, also called as TCP/IP, TCP/IP, three-way handshake. Three-way handshake. Also sometimes called as TCP connection establishment. Connection establishment. So either you can call it as sequence number synchronization or TCP/IP handshake or TCP connection. All these are one and the same. These are all one and the same. All these 3 components are one and the same. Sometimes you call it, some textbook you see sequence number synchronization. Some textbook you see it as TCP/IP three-way handshake. Some textbook call it as TCP connection establishment. So let's understand as to what is meant by sequence number. What do you mean by window size? What do you mean by forward acknowledgement? And what do you mean by sequence number synchronization? Let's understand this properly. First of all, let us understand about what is meant by sequence number. So let us see as to what is meant by sequence number first of all. See here. We have here system A and we have here system B. The application 1 running on system A is trying to talk to application 2 running on system B. And application 1 is trying to send the data from A to B. Because a vehicle cannot carry entire data at one go, the data is being cut into what? Small pieces. Called as what? Segments. Now the TCP protocol here has to now ensure that you should keep in touch with the TCP protocol other side to see whether all the segments are being properly received by other side or not. Correct? Now, that's the context of TCP. Now let us say there are two methods of sending the data from A to B. System A can send, let's say, only one segment is sent. At any point of time, let us say TCP on A sends only one segment to TCP on B. The TCP says, yes, I received the segment. It sends one segment, says, I received the segment. Then I send the second segment, it says, I received the segment. Third segment, I received the segment, right? If TCP is sending only one segment at any point of time, other TCP says, I received the segment, not an issue at all. Whichever segment I sent was received by TCP other side. So there's no issue at all. But the segments are not sent one by one. It's not that I send one segment, wait for ACK, send the second segment, wait for ACK, send the third segment, wait for ACK. Unnecessarily delay is there. What does system A do now? It does not send only one segment. It sends what? It sends, let's say, 10 segments at one go. It sends 10 segments at one go. It sends what? 10 segments sends one go. It sends, let's say, 10 segments it sends to one go. The batch of 10 has been sent at one go. Now this TCP says, I received your segment. Which segment did you receive? You understand, no? That means what? The segments have to be identified uniquely, right? So TCP says, I received so-and-so segment I received. So-and-so segment I did not receive. If I write only one letter to Farooq, Farooq says, I received a letter, fine. Which letter I sent, he has received. But if I send, let's say, 5 letters at one go to Farooq, he says, I received your letter. Which letter did he receive? You should say, I received letter number 1, letter number 2, 3, 4, right? I should have some identification about the letters. Similarly, the segments sent by A to B or B to A are identified uniquely by a number. The number is called as what? Sequence number. You understand, no? The segments sent by A to B or B to A are identified uniquely by a number. The number is called as what? Sequence number. Why sequence number? Starting from one counter, the segments are numbered in sequence. If at all I start the numbering of segment, let's say from 300, I send next one what? 301. So if at all I say start the numbering, I can start the numbering from any counter I like. Let's say I start from 300. Next one I send it as what? 301. Then I send what? 302. Then I send what? 303, 304. After 304, I don't send 410. I only send what? 305 only I send. The segments are numbered in sequence, starting from any counter. I may start from any counter. At random, I can pick up the counter. I can pick up any number. From there on, I keep on sending the packets in what? Sequence. That's why we call it as what? Sequence numbers. You understand, no? So the segments sent by A to B or B to A are identified by a number called as what? Sequence number. You understand, no? I may start the numbering from any counter. I may start from 300, I may start at 400, I may start 500, but from there on, I keep on sending the segments in what? In sequence. So we call it as what? Sequence number. We call it as what? Sequence number. You understood sequence number, right? Now let's understand as to what is meant by window size. We can also call it as batch size. Size of the batch. The segment are not sent one by one. I send in batches. If at all, let's say system A sends here, we said it sends only one segment, for example, and other TCP waits for TCP to acknowledge. Then I send the second. If I send, let's say, only one segment, then what happens? Unnecessary delay is there, right? If I send only one segment, wait for ACK, send second segment, wait for ACK, send third segment, wait for ACK, unnecessarily their delay is there. Unnecessarily there is some sort of delay. Now, if at all I send, like say, for example, I send 50 segments at one go. I send 50 segments at one go. Then TCP system B says, I received only 3. Then what should I do now? I should retransmit 47 segments, right? I sent 50 segments in a batch. And the other systems, I received only 3. 47 got lost in the transit. So what should I do now? Retransmit 47 segments again. If I send lesser number of segments in a batch, unnecessarily delay is there. If I send more number of segments, more number of retransmissions might be sent again, maybe asked again. So there is a trade-off. There is a trade-off as to how many segments could be sent in a batch. The batch size is called as what? Window size. The segments are sent in batches. The batch size is called as what? Window size. Batch size is called as what? Window size. Now, another curious thing about networking is the batch size is not limited, it's not constant. Right now, the networking conditions are better. Let us say, let's say 15 a batch. Now let's say conditions are not good. You're asking for more number of retransmissions. Let us reduce the batch size. Let's only send 30 each in a batch. Network conditions are horrible. Let us send only 5 in a batch. No, now it's better now. Let us send 10. The batch size is not constant. It is discussed then and there between the TCP and TCP. They may increase or reduce the batch size. This concept is called as flow control. Flow control. It's called as what? Flow control or windowing. It's called as flow control. Flow control or windowing. Right? The batch size is not constant. How many segments should be sent in a batch is also, like say, increased or decreased depending upon the networking conditions. So this concept is called as flow control or windowing. You understand now? So that's what about, like say, sequence number and window size. Any doubts so far? You can ask me now.
Hello, Koti.
Yes, Ismail.
Yeah. What did he say about that flow control? Is it the TCP when they communicate from one side to another, they decide how much they sent?
Correct. What should be the batch size? Window size is decided by the TCP on E and TCP on E. Correct.
All right, thank you.
Now, let's understand as to what is meant by forward acknowledgement. Let us say in some case here, system A is sending the segments to system B, and it has been decided to send, let's say, the batch. I'm going to start the counter from 300 onwards. I'm going to start the counter from 300, and the batch size is, like say, 4. It has been decided that batch size is what? 4. Window size is 4. So what does TCP on A do now? It sends, how many packets does it send now? It sends the segment number 300, 301, 302, and then 303. In this batch, it sends what? 300, 301, 302, 303 segments. Segments numbered as 301, 300, 301. This is the number of segments. Sequence number of segments. Sends 4 segments. Numbered as what? 300, 301, 302, 303. Now let us say all the segments are received by system B. All of them are received by system B. System B should say what? I received. It should say what? It should actually say I received. I received what? I received 300 segment, 301, 302, and 303. You should say like this, right? You should say I received 300, 301, 302, 303. You should say like this, right? You should acknowledge that it received all the segments like this. But it does not say like this. It does not say I received 300, 301, 302, 300. It says what? It says send me 304. Means what? Till 303, I received all the segments. If at all you are sending any segment to me, it should be numbered as what? 304. Means I received till 303. Till 303, I received. You understand, no? So I'm not saying as to what I received. What am I saying? I'm saying what has to be sent. You understand, no? So this concept is called as forward ACK, forward acknowledgement. This concept is called as what? Forward acknowledgement. I don't say as to what I received. I say what has to be sent next. Means till here, I received all the segments. So this concept is called as forward acknowledgement. Right? Now what happens? Now what happens? Because you send me 304, what happens now? I send 304, I send 305, I send 306, I send what? 307. Right? Because I can send only how many in one batch? 4. So because you said send me 304, I send 304, 304. I understand 303. Now let us say system B receives 304, 305, 307, but not 306. So 306 got, let's say, lost in the transit. 306 got lost in the transit. You understand, no? So now what happens? Now what should I do now? So it can't say, oh, I received 304, 305, and also 307, send only 306. It says what? Send me. It only says what? Send me 306. Means what? Means I received till 305, right? So what happens now? System B sends what? 306, and also sends 307, also sends 308, also sends what? 309. Next time, if at all you see, these two are retransmissions, right? These two are retransmissions. These two are what? Fresh segments. These two are fresh. These are what? Retransmitted segments. But if you see carefully, 307, I have said 2 copies I have in my buffer, right? So I see the timestamp. I take one and I took the other one. You understand, no? So I leave, like, I have 2 copies of 307 I have. I discard 1 copy. I take only 1 copy. So I don't have mechanism where I can say, oh, don't send me 307, but send me 306. That's not there. Send me 306 means what? I received till 305. So everything else after 306, you should send it again. So send it again. You understand, no? So how many segments could be sent at one go? Or how many segments are yet to be acknowledged? That is called as what? Window size or batch size. Because segments are sent in batches, Segments are sent in what? Batches. The batch size is again discussed between these two systems depending upon the networking conditions. Conditions are better, let us increase the size. Conditions are not good, let us reduce the size. They do, that's window size. They don't acknowledge what they have received. They say what has to send next. That is called as what? Forward acknowledgement. You understand? So there's a trade-off as to how many segments could be unacknowledged at any point, unacknowledged or yet to be acknowledged at any point of time. That's called as what? Window size. So very large window size, maybe I may have to have a lot of retransmissions. Lesser window size, some delay will be there. So there's trade-off. They keep on discussing about this from time to time. That is called as flow control. So we understood as to what is meant by sequence numbers. We also understood as to what is meant by window size. Then you also understood as what's meant by forward acknowledgement, sequence numbers, window size, forward acknowledgement. Right? So the segments are numbered in sequence, starting from one counter. The segments are numbered in sequence, so called sequence numbers. The how many segments are set in a batch is called as window size, and they say segment next segment number so and so. We call it as what? Forward acknowledgement. Right? Now let's understand as to what is meant by sequence number synchronization. Sequence number synchronization or TCP/IP three-way handshake or TCP connection establishment. Let's understand about this. So the sequence numbers can start from anywhere. I can pick up at random. I can start with 200 or 101 or 300, whatever it is. But once I start from one counter, I keep on numbering in sequence. That's why I call it as what? Sequence numbers. I can pick up at random the counter. Initial number I can pick up at random. And from there, I keep on sending in what? Sequence. That's why we call them as sequence numbers. Now let's understand as to what is meant by TCP/IP three-way handshake, or what do you mean by TCP connection establishment packets, right? Let's understand this. See, now we have system A here, and then we have system B here. System A and system B, they would like to send application 1 running on system A, would like to talk to application 2 running on system B. When the applications want to talk to each other, they would like to send some data. It's not that application 1 only has got some data to be sent to application 2. Application 2 also might be having some data to send to what? Application number 1. Right? Both of them are trying to do what? Exchange the data with each other. Application 1 has got some data to send. Application 2 also has got some data to send, right? Now, because they are worried whether data is being properly received or not, they talk to what? TCP protocol. So TCP, the data is given to TCP here. The data also is given to TCP here. And TCP is asked to manage the transport. So application gives the data to whom? TCP protocol, and says, yeah, I don't know what you do, but make sure that the entire data goes to other application properly. I'm worried about what? Reliability. I want entire data to go to system B properly. So you take care of reliability. TCP knows the application is given to me means what? I should manage the transport. I should ensure that entire data goes properly from A to B. So what happens? TCP here cuts the data into small segments. TCP here cuts the data into what? Small segments like this. TCP here also cuts the data into small segments. This also cuts the data into what? Small segments. Sorry. This also cuts the data into what? Small segments. Because TCP also knows that entire data cannot be sent. Let me cut the data into small segments like this. Now, now what happened? TCP here has to ask TCP, I am sending all the segments. Are you receiving these segments properly? Are you receiving my segments? Are you receiving my segments? They should talk to each other, right? That means what? The segment has to be identified uniquely. So TCP here decides to start the counter from 300, 301, 302, 303, 304, goes on like this. TCP has decided to start the counter from where? Counter from 300 onwards. And thereby, thereon, keep on numbering the packets in what? Segments in sequence. Here, TCP here also wanted to start the numbering from 700 onwards. 700, 701, 702, 703, 704, goes on like this. So TCP here wanted to start the numbering from 300. TCP here wanted to start the numbering from where now? 700. Right? TCP on A wanted to start the numbering from where? Picked up the counter called 300. And TCP here picked up the counter called what? 700. Now, the very fact TCP is going to start from 300 should inform the other TCP. This TCP has to say, yeah, I'm starting my counter from 300. So please you keep following this, right? Keep telling me whether you are received, let's say 300, 301. Keep telling me whether you are receiving or not. The very fact I'm starting the number from 300 should be informed by this TCP, the other TCP, right? This you should say, I'm starting my numbering from 700. You keep track of this. Because which counter I'm going to use, only I know. Other TCP doesn't know, right? So TCP on A should inform TCP on B saying that I'm starting the numbering from 300. You keep track of this. Other TCP should say, okay, I'm fine with it. I'm starting the numbering from 700. You keep track of this. You should say, yes, I know which part number you are starting, right? Before actually transmitting the data to each other, before actual data transfer happens between A and B, TCP on A and TCP on B should inform each other what sequence number, what counter they're starting from. What is the starting sequence number? They should inform each other, right? That happens in how many packets? 3 packets. So TCP says, I'm starting from 300. Is it okay? I'm starting from 700. Is it okay? I'm starting from, is it okay? Yes, okay. Right? I'm starting from 300. Is it okay? Yes. I'm starting from 700. Is it okay? Yes. You understand, no? So they agree upon the sequence numbers in these 3 packets. That's why I call it as what? Sequence number synchronization packets. What are they trying to synchronize? Sequence numbers. They are coming to an agreement as to what sequence number they are going to start from. They are informing each other what sequence number they are going to use. The very fact TCP on A is going to start the numbering from 300 informs to whom? TCP on B. The very fact TCP is going to start numbering from 700 informing whom? TCP on A. How many packets they exchange in doing this? 3 packets. So we call them as sequence number synchronization packets or TCP/IP 3-way handshake or sequence number TCP connection establishment packets. So in these 3 packets, a lot of things happen. What all things happen? First of all, they say they agree upon the sequence numbers. Right? That's one thing they are definitely going to do. So what happens in these 3 packets now? They agree upon these 3. And what else they agree upon now? Second thing they may agree is, what second thing they agree? They also open a connection. They also open what? A connection. Who is talking to whom? Also they understand. For example, on system A, on system A, let's say I may have, let's say, multiple applications might be on same system only, right? So they also open a connection. In other words, they also understand which service is talking to whom, which service is talking to which service, who's talking to whom, whose data I'm trying to send to you now. All the details are also understood in these three packets. So in these three packets, not only the sequence numbers, they also open a connection. They also know which particular service is talking, which particular service. So many details are exchanged between TCP on A and TCP on B on these three packets. But most important is what? They understand about the sequence numbers. They also open a connection. They also understand which particular service is talking, which particular service. Now let's elaborate more on this now. Let's elaborate on more on the services, right? Then let us see how these three packages really look like, right? Let us understand this also properly now. See, now I have system A here, and then I have system B. System A might be multiples as running. It may also have what? Browser. Some browser might be running here. It also has got what? Email client. It also might be acting as what? Email client. It also might be acting as what? DNS client. It also might be acting as what? FTP client. Correct? So all these are what? Different applications running on system A. It has a browser, it has an email client called Outlook Express. It also might be acting as what? DNS client. It also might be acting as what? FTP's client, right? Now let us say all servers are running on system B. It has got HTTP server running on it. HTTP server. It also has got, let's say, SMTP server running on it. It also has got DNS server running on it. It also has got FTP server running on it, right? Also possible, right? Let us say all the clients are running on system A and all the servers are running on system B.